How do you thought of so Singaporean when you're Angmo? Hi! I'm Sam. I'm a singer-songwriter. This is a video that I've been wanting to make for a very long time. So I got a lot of questions about people asking me about my experiences in going to therapy in Singapore. Whether it's expensive, whether it helps. That's the main thing. Whether it helps, whether it's effective. Therapy has been one of the best decisions I ever made in my life because it helped me sort of change my way of thinking a lot and to think from other points of views and all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna get more in depth into it. And I wanted to make this video because I've seen quite a lot of YouTube videos in Singapore. So there has been quite a huge rise in mental health awareness, which is a great thing, honestly, because in Singapore, we don't really talk about this kind of stuff. I have tattoos. I love tattoos. Things like tattoos, therapy, and all these kind of like taboo subjects isn't really that talked about that much in Singapore. It's good to see like a rise in people talking about it. People aren't getting as shy as they used to be anymore. So which is great. Honestly, I hope this conversation carries on because there are a lot of people out there who need help. Starting a conversation could potentially save their lives. So I'm glad we're finally talking about mental health because it's a very huge thing in our lives. I'm gonna try my best to be as candid as possible. No walls, just you and me and a camera, and maybe Huawei in the background. Hey, he's scared because right now it's raining and there's a bit of lightning, so hopefully to somebody watching this, all 6 of you, this would be helpful. So here are some of the things that I've learned in therapy and all that stuff. Let's go! Okay, number 1, you are not weak for wanting/going to see a therapist. So I feel like there might be a huge misconception about going to therapy, especially from the generation that's a bit older, I think. Remember, I say might, so you don't go anyhow say I go and confirm one. I said there might be, yo. So this point stems from a number of Instagram comments that I got back last time when I first started posting about me going to therapy. It was something along the lines of, hey dude, how's therapy? I'm afraid to go because I'm afraid to admit that I have a problem. Or, I don't want to be seen as weak. I don't want to be seen as this, I don't want to be seen as that. But here's the thing. Okay, so let's not say problem. Okay, so admitting that you might have an issue with your well-being is actually very brave. To me, it takes true courage to actually say to yourself, you know what, I have a problem. I'm gonna go out and try to fix that. So based on my own experiences, I knew that I had a number of issues that I wanted to settle. It was a bit difficult because I didn't know how. The whole entire time I was just saying to myself things like, okay, next time I won't react this way. Okay, next time I won't be angry. Okay, next time I won't be sad. But the thing about that is that I'm not actually doing anything about it. I'm just saying to myself, okay, next time I'm gonna try to control this. But when the next time comes, I completely forget everything and I react the same way. So that is why. So a while ago, I was actually in a relationship that was not the most ideal. I turned into someone that I could not recognize at all. I was essentially the worst version of myself. And I knew it. I knew it myself. That's the worst part. I knew it, but it was just very hard for me to do something because it was, I think I was afraid of the change. Like I was very much afraid of admitting to myself that I had a problem because in my head, I wanted to be like the most ideal person. So I wanted to be the best version of myself. So I thought that, I didn't need to work on myself because I'm fine. And it took a very, very long time for me to finally admit that I had an issue. And what I found out blew my mind. When I found out certain things about myself, I was just like, whoa, that makes so much sense. Cool. Okay, number 2. So number 2 is your sense of awareness. So being aware of your issues/problems is great. That's a great thing. That's a huge step forward because now you know that you're aware of something that you don't like or you want to change and you want to change that. So that's great. Good job. Congrats. That's a huge step. But the important question is, what comes next? So what comes next after being aware of this and what are you going to do about it? Okay, so from experience, right, this is where some of us might stop. It could be an article on maybe Facebook, you read those sort of like mental health articles on Facebook. Or it could be like a motivational YouTube videos about people changing their lives around and all that kind of stuff. What happens next is that, you feel suddenly inspired to, okay, I'm gonna change for the better, I'm gonna change for the better. Okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna be a nice person, I'm gonna stop doing this, I'm gonna stop doing that. The problem with that is that often we sort of lose that motivation and we don't stick to it. And to me, that isn't the most ideal way of tackling an issue. Because you're not getting to the root of the problem, which is what I'm going to talk about next. You're just seeing an article and then suddenly you're motivated to do something, but you don't actually stick to it. You know, you're motivated for maybe 2 or 3 days, and then suddenly when something happens again, you're back to square one. So being aware is a great step. You know, now you're aware that you have an issue, there's something you want to change. So the way I see it, right, the reason why I keep saying that it's a great step that you're aware is because every single step forward it's still something, you know. I truly believe that whenever you make like small steps forward, it's still a step forward and it's still a step towards recovery. So that's why I keep emphasizing that it's a great thing, because most people don't think that being aware is a good thing, because now their problems are much more clearer to them and then they start panicking. But being aware of it, to me, is more or less 50%, like the battle is won lah. But what's the next 50%? You see, from my own experience, I've had a lot of situations where I was led solar. You know, I was like way before I went to therapy. I was just like, oh, okay, I would see a YouTube video and then they would say things like, oh, change your life in 1 week. And then they would talk about how they change their lives, they would talk about how they do this, they would talk about depression and how they got out of it. But I don't think it was very helpful, because it was something that I could relate to the depression quite a bit. But it was something that, like, each person has their own set of problems that they have to deal with, and my problems aren't the same as somebody else on YouTube or some article that somebody writes. So it's very important to go find out what the root is to your own problem. And for many years I was like that, you know, it could be even for guitar playing, it could be even for exercising. Like, you know, I'll be motivated like, yo, you gotta get off your ass and exercise. Oh, there's somebody else practicing longer hours than you for guitar, go and practice. And then I would be motivated for maybe a few days, but after that I'll just be like, you know what, I don't feel like doing anything right now. So yes, sense of awareness is very good. So recognizing what you want to change, recognizing a problem, recognizing a feeling would go a long way into becoming that person that you aspire to be. Okay, number 3, it could be confronting. So this is something that was actually quite a big, like, obstacle, hurdle, huge frigging wall type thing that I needed to get over. And it was being in therapy and saying out all your problems out loud was actually very confronting for me, because all these problems that I had was actually in my head. And once I spoke to my therapist about it, and once I said it out loud, it sort of manifested itself in front of me. I saw it as like this like huge black figure that was just staring right at me. And I was just thinking to myself, wow, I never expected to say all these problems, all these thoughts that I had out loud. It's a very different feeling when you have something in your head, and then when you say the exact same thing out loud. Like, have you ever had a situation where you said, oh, that sounded nicer in my head. Oh, okay, that sounded smarter in my head. Oh, okay, that sounded like a good idea, until I said it out loud. And for me, I saw a lost sense of reality for a while. One of the first few times I went to therapy, and each session was just like, I would say out a problem. And all these problems I've never admitted any of these things before. I've never said how I felt about certain things. I've never done this, because to me, all these problems and feelings were always sort of like, I felt in a way stupid to feel this way, you know. I didn't realize how common this was. So you get a situation where it's like, you wouldn't want to say out your feeling because you feel like it's unreasonable, or you feel that it's stupid to say it out loud. And that was what I felt in therapy, because growing up I was never really allowed to have an opinion. No matter what I would say, I would always be shut down by somebody. I was almost never allowed to have my own way of thinking. You know, growing up I had very bad self-esteem issues. I would feel bad about the way I thought, because it was never the right thought. It was never what everybody else was thinking. That caused me to have pretty bad self-esteem issues growing up. Even until now, honestly, like, being in front of a camera and speaking about this is honestly very hard. Even though I've done this a lot in therapy, but to people watching out there, to be completely vulnerable is just pretty scary. But I'm trying my best. I'm trying my best. Okay, so it was a very strange feeling. I think that was quite a huge obstacle for me, because I would say things out loud, and for once my opinion was valued. I had to say all these things because I wanted to completely change the way that I thought. Once I said everything out loud, and once that black figure that I was talking about, all my problems, it sort of faded away after a while. I felt so much better, yeah. Walao. It was just like a huge weight, like, off my shoulders. I felt so relieved that everything was all in the open. And I was getting an explanation for all of those thoughts in my head and all the feelings that I felt. Yeah, childhood was quite tough, man. It could be pretty confronting. I know I've heard of people who have cried in therapy before. I've never cried before, but I could feel a sense of reluctance whenever I want to talk about it. Even right now, whenever I talk about these kind of things, my voice tends to get quiet. You can see my face is just like, I'm not even looking at the camera most of the time. It could be very confronting. It was for me. But it helps to be open with your therapist, because the more open you are, the more you are receptive to change. But it's all in your own time as well. So if you don't feel completely open with your therapist yet, if you do decide to seek help, that's okay. But it helps to try to open up, all on your own time, of course. So don't rush it. Okay, number 4, making sense. So this could perhaps be the most important point that I'm going to talk about today, because I truly believe that getting to the root of a problem would be very helpful to solving that said problem. And I went to therapy also mainly because I wanted to find out the reasons behind me feeling a certain way, or the reasons why I would act a certain way. So to put it into simpler terms, let's just say you have an example. So this is an example. Boom. Imagine if you are sad and you wanted to eat a lot, you wanted to binge on eating because you're sad. And after eating a bunch of snacks, eating like McDonald's, eating a bunch of chips, eating ice cream, which is what I used to do, you say to yourself, you feel bad about yourself and you go, okay, next time I'm not going to eat anymore. Next time I'm not going to be like this. But when the next time comes and you're sad again, you do the exact same thing. So instead of saying to yourself, okay, next time I won't eat anymore, I wanted to get to the root of the problem, which is, why would I binge eat? So what I would see is that here, I'm right at the top, and this is the foundation for what I was doing. So here is where I said, okay, next time I won't eat. But because the base isn't affected, next time I'll still go and continue to eat like crazy whenever I'm sad. But if I were to get to the root of the problem, which is here, which is the reason why I would eat a lot when I'm sad, then it'll be much better to manage up here. Because once I found out the reason, right, everything started to make sense. But once I found out the reasons to the rest of my problems, right, everything else became so much easier to manage. So going back to the reasons why I wanted to go to therapy is because I was in a relationship that wasn't the most ideal, and it was a lot of breaking out, getting back together, on and off again type relationship for many years, 5 years. And we would split up, and then initially I'll be okay, I'll be like, oh, okay, I'm single again, yay, you know, pretend to be happy. And then suddenly a few weeks later, I would feel so lonely, and I would be so desperate as to get her back, and I would go through so many desperate measures just to try to get her attention or try to get her back. And that happened for many years. When the final time we split, I wanted to go to therapy and find out the reason why I would always do the same thing over and over again. And I found out that I had very bad abandonment issues because of my dad leaving when I was younger. I didn't realize that had such a big impact on me, because when I was younger, I didn't even realize that he left. I grew up with just a single mom, and to me that was always normal, you know? That was always like the norm. Having somebody else having a dad would be, oh, okay, that's an added bonus, you know? So I always had nothing to compare to because I was too young and then he left. So I never knew that all these issues existed. And once I recognized my feeling of abandonment and loneliness, then it became so much easier to manage, because I would be like, oh, okay, it's just my abandonment issues triggering again. I could recognize when it was being triggered and I could manage it better, you know, through skills that my therapist taught me. But that is the reason why I think getting to the root of the problem is great, because you can find out the reason why you act a certain way, and then you can better manage it from there. And that is what I mean by making sense. Great. We're going on to number 5, which is expectations. Okay, so this is something that I didn't realize when I went to therapy. You will not 100% get rid of all these issues / problems / unwanted thoughts that you have. I've got a lot of questions where they say like, oh Sam, you know, are you 100% cured? I feel that that's a bit of an unrealistic expectation, because you cannot expect to truly 100% get rid of, whatever the hell it is. But you can learn to manage it a lot. Yeah, so you wouldn't want to get into a situation where you feel frustrated from therapy because you feel like it's not working, and you feel like, oh, why am I not 100% cured? But you cannot expect to get 100% cured, because that's not what therapy is about, in my opinion. Anyhow, therapy helps to manage and reduce those feelings and problems that you might have. Essentially, they equip you with skills and actions that could correct those thinking errors that you might have, and it's up to you to manage these skills. It's quite an unrealistic expectation to go in and be like, okay, doctor, cure me! But you cannot expect to be cured, because that's not how therapy works. By having these skills, it's up to you on how you want to manage them. It's up to you whether you want to do it every day, you want to follow what they say, you think they're not very good, so you change therapists. It's completely up to you. The most important thing about this entire point, even though it won't 100% cure you, you will see a very, very big difference in yourself and your well-being after a few sessions. Like I said, even if it's 5%, 10%, even 1%, let's go with 10%. So even if you're not cured 100%, you are still 10% there. That's still quite a huge change. Every step is still a step. And that's great, It's still a step towards being the person you aspire to be. So 10%, right? Even 10%, you will feel a lot of difference, right? Based on my personal experience when I went to therapy, after a few sessions, I felt great, yeah. I learned so much about myself. I was completely open with my therapist. I did not really hide anything, I think. And she gave me a lot of input and I learned so much about myself. And that made me eager to go back to learn even more about myself and to tackle all these issues that I had. Yeah, so essentially I saw a huge difference in my way of thinking after a few sessions. Lastly, number 6, investing in yourself. Okay, so investing in yourself, this is gonna sound like some MLM pyramid scheme. Bro, you can be your own boss, bro. Bro, invest in your future, bro. Today is yesterday's tomorrow, bro. Nah. So what I mean by investing in yourself is that you are investing in your own mental health, which is a super, super awesome thing to do. Because once you're in a good mental state, everything around you starts to change because suddenly you see the world in a more positive light. You give out good vibes. So once you're giving out good vibes, you guys can do this motion with me if you want. Once you give out good vibes, there are people around you who will receive that same vibes that you give off. So once they receive the good vibes, you guys have good vibes, People start having good vibes because of you. So once that happens, once you start giving out good vibes and people are receiving your good vibes, then y'all can just start having some good vibes together, You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? At this point, I know some of you might be thinking, oh Sam, it's too expensive to go to therapy. This is where priorities come in. I've had experiences where friends would come up to me and they would seriously ask me about therapy and how much and where do I go, whether it helps and all that kind of stuff. And I would tell them everything. And then they would say the same thing. They would be like, too expensive lah, cannot lah. Hey, but I really want to go. But too expensive, never mind lah, I won't go. And then suddenly, a few days later, they buy a PS4. So that's what I mean by priorities lah, You could put the money aside to go to therapy and work on yourself, or you could do it to buy something else. That's completely up to you. It would be great to set aside some cash for therapy lah, because it helps you in the long run as well. So that's what I mean by priorities, And if you're still thinking, Sam, I really cannot afford, I know money, there are a lot of cheaper options out there that I will go and search. I'll try my best to link stuff in the description below. Or hopefully people who watch this, you might comment below on places that might be affordable to people. And that'll be very helpful because I do wanna check it out as well. So okay, that's all I can think about for now. Right now I'm gonna answer some questions I got from Instagram a while ago when I asked about some therapy stuff. So let's go. So first question, how long did you take to open up to your therapist? I think it took me almost immediately. I think at the point when I was first going to therapy, I knew it was completely up to me on how my recovery was going to go. So I was almost immediately very open with her because I just wanted to learn as much about myself as possible. So I mean, different people could experience different things lah. If you are not that open and if it takes a while for you to open, that's completely up to you. That's great. So, but as long as you get there, it doesn't matter how much time you take. As long as you keep trying your best to get there, that's all it takes. Can you share why you needed therapy? Yeah, I needed therapy because I was in a very long relationship and I sort of lost myself in the process. And I had a lot of things that the way I acted and reacted and the way I felt to a lot of things wasn't the best. Like it was pretty bad lah. I was really the worst version of myself, honestly. And I just knew that I needed therapy because I just wanted to break the cycle. It was so unhealthy for the both of us. And once I went into therapy, I started to recognize all of these problems. So essentially I needed therapy because I just wanted to put a stop to the cycle of breaking up, getting back together and all that. How do you know if your therapist is a good fit for you? I knew my therapist was a good fit for me because she was able to recognize all the things that I was going through. Like all the feelings I felt, all the thoughts I had. Like she would ask me certain things and I'd be like, yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And that's how I feel. So once she did that, I was like, yeah, she's pretty good. Have you changed your therapist in 2 years? No. How much does it cost to go to a therapist counselor in Singapore? I would just say the range would be around 150 to 250 per session. There was a point where I used to go every single week, but then after a while I couldn't afford it, so I just maybe went like once or twice a month. And I found that was enough for me after a while. Can therapists read minds? How to get Asian parents to accept the idea that therapy can actually benefit everyone. I've had experiences with like the older generation where they would say to me, hey, you're going through therapy, ah? How you need, man? Just be happy lah. Hey, don't stress lah, don't this, don't this. That's not how it works. You cannot just say to someone, be happy, and then suddenly, okay, I'm happy, yay! That's not how any of that works. I think the more that they see change in you, the more that they try to accept that it actually works. But there has to be results for it to work, you know. That's the most important thing. Do you have an agenda every week given by them? What happens in the therapy session? Sometimes there is an agenda, but for me, it's more of like something that happens during the week. So I would say, oh, I felt this way when this happened, and I don't know why I feel this way. Something along those lines. If nothing happens, if I don't have anything to present to her, then she would have an agenda for me. What is the most memorable quote from your therapist? This was only maybe 2 months or last month. My therapist said to me, you cannot change people. However, you can change yourself and hope to influence people. So once she said that, I was like, whoa, that makes so much sense. Because oftentimes you get people trying to change people and then they become frustrated and then be like, okay, never mind, I cannot change you. But it's not your responsibility to change people, because that can't happen. You have to want to change yourself and then hope it influences them. And if it doesn't, then it's okay, you know, because at least you change for the better. Okay, that's all. Thank you guys. Stress out this video. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys have any questions, let me know down below. If y'all want me to talk more about therapy stuff, let me know. You guys have any questions or if you guys want to talk to me, I'm on Instagram. Just DM me, I'll probably reply sometime. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this has helped somebody out there wanting to get help. I'll be back on YouTube a lot more, so please do sub, like the video, share it around if you want. Okay, see you guys. Bye.